The evening of May 3, 2007, was supposed to be nothing more than a routine, quiet night in the holiday resort of Praia da Luz. For the Mikan family, it was a moment of relaxation. 3-year-old Madeline and her younger twin siblings were asleep in their ground-floor apartment, number 5A, while their parents dined a short stroll away. This was their rhythm, a trusted ritual of check-ins that made the small separation feel safe. But safety is often just an illusion, and routine is easily exploited. At 10 p.m., the mother walked into the dark bedroom. The silence was immediate, heavy, and wrong. Where Madeline should have been, there was only an empty space on the bed. The room was otherwise pristine. Nothing had been disturbed, nothing stolen. Yet, the small, bright presence of the 3-year-old had been surgically removed. The details that emerged only deepened the horror. Investigators noted an open, unlatched window shutter and a disturbing lack of forced entry, hinting at a careful, almost professional operation. A desperate search began, illuminated by resort floodlights, yielding only spectral clues: the possible sighting of a man carrying a child, walking toward the dark ocean, a phantom figure seen lurking hours before. The initial investigation quickly turned toxic, feeding a frenzy of global scrutiny. The parents themselves were briefly named suspects by the Portuguese police, a devastating turn that added unimaginable emotional torment to their grief. While later cleared, the act injected a venom of doubt that has plagued the case ever since. Madeline Mikan did not leave behind a note, a struggle, or a definitive piece of evidence. She left behind a perfect vacuum. Her disappearance became an unsolvable equation of conflicting timelines, unreliable sightings, and an absence of truth that has captivated and horrified the world for 2 decades. The true perpetrator remains an uncaptured shadow, and the whereabouts of the little girl remain the most painful, unanswered question in modern criminal history. The night the children vanished into smoke. Christmas Eve, 1945, was supposed to be a night of warmth and joy in the Sauter family home in Fayetteville, West Virginia. But outside the walls of the comfortable house, a bitter wind was stirring, carrying the scent of tragedy. The evening began with small, unsettling details: a mysterious late-night phone call placed to the house, followed by a sudden, jarring noise on the roof. Then, around 1 a.m., fire erupted. The flames consumed the 2-story home with terrifying speed, trapping the 5 youngest Sauter children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, in their upstairs bedrooms. George and Jenny Sauter, the parents, along with 4 of their 10 children, managed a desperate escape through the blinding smoke. But the horror had just begun. When George tried to re-enter the home, the crucial ladder, which was always resting against the side of the house, was gone. His frantic attempts to drive a truck near the window to climb failed when the engine inexplicably refused to turn over. By the time the fire department finally arrived hours later, the house was a collapsed, smoldering ruin. The official conclusion was swift and devastating. The 5 children had perished in the inferno. In the days that followed, the search of the basement rubble yielded no human remains, not a single bone or tooth, a scientific anomaly that defied the expected outcome of a fierce house fire. Witnesses came forward, claiming to have seen a strange man tampering with the home's fuse box moments before the blaze, and others reported seeing the children themselves alive and well, being driven away in a vehicle that same night. The Sauter parents, convinced their children had been abducted, never accepted the official report. They transformed their yard into a heartbreaking memorial, posting billboards for decades along U.S. Route 60, offering a reward for any information. Their hope, fueled by the impossible absence of remains and a haunting feeling of conspiracy, lasted a lifetime. The case remains a deep scar on American true crime. Was the tragedy a simple, albeit horrific, house fire, or was it a kidnapping masked by a perfect act of arson? The truth, much like the 5 Sauter children, vanished entirely into the smoke of that cold Christmas Eve.